You do not hate Republicans enough, and neither do our current Democratic leaders. I'm Liliana Young, and I'm running for the Indiana House of Representatives in District 61. Something that's become increasingly clear to me over the last year or so is that our Democratic leaders, especially on a national stage, but most definitely here on the home front in Indiana, do not hate Republicans nearly enough. And why do I say they don't hate Republicans enough? And what exactly do I mean by that? Do I mean they don't oppose Republicans enough? Do I mean they don't campaign against them hard enough? Well, yeah, kind of all of the above. But it's also a matter of attitude and rhetoric and a general willingness to roll up your sleeves and actually get to work on doing things that directly oppose Republicans. It's all of it put together, really. Here's the thing. The overwhelming majority of the Indiana state legislators in the Democratic caucus come from an older era where Republicans and Democrats were not so far apart and could compromise and still get some decent amount of things done that had benefits. But the truth is that era has long since come to an end. Over the last few decades, especially here in the last 20 years, the Republican Party has radically shifted to the right on the political spectrum. They've become entirely captured by billionaires and religious extremists, both of which are groups that hate the everyday person. They hate life. They hate joy. They hate art. They hate expression. They hate freedom. They hate differences. And when you combine these two groups, it is a combination that is genuinely deadly for quality of life and democracy in general. And over the past 20 years, with the state of Indiana being under the stewardship of Republican governors and Republican state legislators and Republican Supreme Court and Republican state officers, things in Indiana have consistently deteriorated. This state ranks highest in the nation for air and water pollution. So all of our kids are basically being poisoned every day. Our state minimum wage is still stuck at $7.25 an hour, which means that corporations in the state can look generous by offering something like a $12 or $13 an hour job, and it's competitive, even though we all know for a fact that anything under 18 or 19 an hour is kind of a joke and just does not pay the bills anymore. The homelessness epidemic in Indiana has rapidly become one of the top issues of the state. Housing cost and affordability is almost entirely a long gone pipe dream. You have single bedroom apartments going for $1,000+ a month now, which is insane. We have to admit that. And LGBTQ rights in the state have diminished so rapidly and so consistently in the last 18 months that we're basically just a step ahead of Florida, which is one of the most hostile states in the union to trans and other queer people, that you basically can't be openly queer in Florida and live. It's that bad over there. And we're catching up pretty quick here in Indiana. Like I said, this is all at the hands of Republican leadership. And yet, our current crop of Democratic leaders, our mayors, our city council members, and especially our state legislators, do not actively hate these Republican motherfuckers enough. And that's one of the biggest differences between myself and my primary opponent. I don't care about decorum, not in the least. In fact, I think decorum is useless. Republicans very clearly don't care about decorum. They throw it out the window every opportunity they get. And every time they sense even the slightest bit of hesitation or weakness on the end of Democrats, they absolutely have no problem jumping on that and going for the jugular. I'm not interested in compromising with Republicans either. You cannot compromise with people who don't believe in science, who don't believe in morality, who don't believe in freedom, who don't believe in historical truth. You can't compromise with that. And so that's why when people ask me sometimes in interviews, well, how do you plan to reach MAGA voters, or how do you plan to compromise with people across the aisle? I don't, and I'm not going to. One of my major goals when I'm elected is to be an active obstruction to these evil, vile Republican bastards. I want to frustrate them. I want to stymie and stall them. I want to slow them down. I want to badger and berate them and belittle them at every turn. I want to do everything I can to organize public opinion against them, because these people are evil. And evil has to be called for the evil that it is. And if you cannot clear that bar, then you really have no business being in politics to begin with. So that's one of the promises that I make as one of your candidates here in District 61. I promise to never, ever stop hating Republicans. And I promise to do everything I can to show you why you should hate them too.